She did not open the message. She memorized the seconds. Authority shift. That phrase returned to her later that night.
What time you want to go down? Meaning them got sex. I never. You up about 5:30, so I would draw you down come back. I live in quarter six. Okay. Yeah, come on. It's kind of very long to come on.
Hello, good evening. We can give people another couple minutes to join.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us for the town hall meeting. I am sure there are other people on the way, but we need to make a start on it. A little apologies for the late start, but we had a couple, and the sending out the link late, but we had a couple of issues at headquarters. So we had to change locations. And that set us back a little bit. All right, so the agenda would have gone out, so I thought everybody would have seen it. I will share it for if here on the screen. Permission to share? While we are waiting for that, just give you the how the meeting will operate. It's being live on Zoom, and it's also being streamed live on YouTube. If Zoom, if you want to ask a question at any time, please raise your hand, i.e. use the reaction at the bottom to raise your hand, and then Martin calls you or I recognize you, then you will unmute and ask your question or make your comment. Similarly, on YouTube, if you have a question to ask, just place it in the chat. Marva is monitoring the chat and she will pass on the question to us if you are watching from YouTube. So everybody can participate. All right, I now have permission to share. This is the agenda for this evening. If you have any questions or comments to make as we go along, please do so at the time you have the question. Please do not wait to the end to bring out your questions because more than likely, by then we would have moved on. It would lose the effectiveness of the question and it would mean going back to another point earlier in the program to address issues. So if you have any queries, please do them. Please make them at the time that it comes to you. All right, and we're going to start with prayers. And I am going to turn over to our deputy Chief Commissioner, Reverend Martin Taylor, to do the opening prayers.
Good evening, everyone. Let us pray. Almighty God, we thank you for this opportunity to come together as an association to meet, discuss, strategize, plan. Give us clarity of thought and of voice. Let us have a robust and open discussion. And let us use this opportunity to discuss and to ask all the questions that we might not have the opportunity to ask for another year. So be with us as we meet. For those who intend to come, Lord, give them Godspeed. Bless this meeting, we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Martin. I'd like to welcome you again to the meeting. The purpose of this meeting is to give our membership a chance to comment and give their input into the program that is being planned for the year, or make suggestions on the direction you believe the association should be going. We have, over the years, last few years, not only have the town hall, but there are various times when we have had documents or plans circulated so that membership can have their say in the matter, so that we can have a more inclusive association. And I encourage you to use this opportunity to say what you may have to say on what is being planned or where you think we should be going. There are 3 discussion points, but then there's a Q&A time when you have the opportunity to raise any other topics that you feel should be raised. I asked for suggestions, and I realized that only one group came back. I believe it was a group or 2. Anyway, one of DC sent me some suggestions, and I will address all of those in the Q&A time. So we are just going to go with what we had previously arranged. To give a brief report on the current school year, and I'm just going to be briefly touching on the things, not going into full details. That will be in my report. The 3 projects that we have undertaken, these are the grant-funded projects, which is Scouts Leap, A Greener Barbados, and Scouting Renewed. Scouts Leap, we did a small portion during this current year through a grant from the Ministry of Labor, and that was a training grant which provided training for the leaders that are part of the project to increase their capacity. That went well from what was reported to me, but the main area of the project could not proceed because of the lack of funding. The funds which were supposed to be released on December 2025 were finally released week before last, and we have received the first tranche now of the funds, and it is expected that either next week or the following week, this project will restart in full. We have to look at what will be accomplished during the coming months, because obviously because of the time lag and the parts that were completed already on the different funding, we have to work out exactly what needs to be done now to meet our requirements and the points that must be touched in the project, and decide how we are going to accomplish them. A Greener Barbados, we completed that project at the beginning of last month. The first Saturday in February was, which was the 7th, was our final tree planting under the project. Within the boundaries of the project. However, we still have more trees to plant, and we have committed to finish planting the number of trees even beyond the dates of the project. We are in the process of completing the final report, and that is hoped to be in by next week. As I said at Founders Day, The region was very pleased with the progress that we made. And in fact, they have been hinting about other grants that we can apply for and get to do other projects. But we have been a little reluctant, not that we don't want to do anymore, but a Greener Barbados took up a lot of our admin time during the last year. And there are other things that need to be concentrated on before we look at another project like that. But the door is open and we will keep talking with them till we find something that will suit our needs at the time. Scouting Renewed is progressing. It's progressing slowly, but it is progressing. We have reached the end of the first year. We're coming to the end of the first year at the end of this month, and we have applied for funding for year 2. However, with elections and changes in ministries, we are still awaiting approval on year 2. And we hope that that will be finalized sometime this month. The several things that we would have been doing came under the grant, like the participation in the conference, the uniform support, which is the base chunk that we've been using out of that. Also the admin assistant at headquarters, and there was one other thing that was covered by that specifically. That's not coming to me right now. It was at the beginning of speaking on Scouting Renewed, but it gone from my mind right now. But anyway, the Safe from Harm training, the implementation, those courses that have been running, it is that project that is paying for those. The last one is due to start, I believe, at the beginning of April. I will run for 4 weeks. And then sometime after that, we will restart the program, the 4 courses again to run. For those of you who haven't done it as yet, I encourage you to use the opportunity. They are very good courses and they're being offered free of charge. So I ask you to realize there are not scope courses, so there is training that can be used on your resume for work or otherwise. So you take the opportunity while it is free to complete the courses. We had our national camp in April, and I believe I reported that from there was just over 400 and something members at camp, which I think was a good turnout, very good turnout, although it could have been better. We had issues where that was concerned. The camp went relatively well. I think it was a success in my estimation. We did have 1 or 2 issues at camp, but that is a normal something. And it just means that improvements will have to be made for the next time around. Our next camp, national camp, is scheduled for next year because we were saying we would do it every 2 years. So sometime later this year, we will start putting things in place for the national camp. So those of you who may hope to see certain activities and events at the next national camp, please start making a note so that when the first details of camp come out and there's a ask for feedback, that you would have your feedback ready to send in. The camp can only be what meet your expectations if you let us know what your expectations are. I would suspect by July, August, we would send out requests for nominations for camp chief and for the senior camp staff. And then from there, we will go. But national camp can only come off properly if we all put our hands to the plow and contribute to the camp. Registration 2025 to 2026. Registration this year seemed to have been a problem in all the districts. I don't know why. The year before we did fairly well. To me, we digressed this year and had issues that we haven't had in the last 2 years. And I am hoping that we will get those earned out for next year's registration, which starts on April 1st. We had issues this year with forms not coming in, and I'm talking to headquarters. I can't speak to when forms go from the group to the district. I can only speak from when it comes from the district to headquarters. Well, we've had cases where, as usual, we had forms coming without money. That's normally at the first, especially since they're emailed in. But then we had money coming without the forms. We had forms and money coming in months after they were submitted. There were a lot of issues. And next year, this will not be happening. There will be a tighter control. We have changed how we are managing it at headquarters. And I want to say too, as far as registration is concerned, a deadline will be set. I'm not setting it now because it is set based on conditions at the time. But I am hoping that by May 31st, everybody is registered. And a deadline will be set. And after that date, any group who is not registered or any district who is not registered will be suspended. We have shied away from this because we do not want to disadvantage the boys and disappoint them when activities are coming up and all these kind of things, but it's getting out of hand. So therefore, that will happen in the next year, as in the next school year, starting April 1st, 2026. Okay? So I put everybody on. The forms will be out from early April, if not the end of March. But you can start getting the information because the information that will go on the forms is identical to what was on the forms for this last year. So you can start collating your information from now. The other issue is the Form F, and that is boys that have joined or leaders that have joined after that initial registration was made. We need leaders to complete that form and send it in when boys join the group. I'm not going to say you have to send it in for each boy that joins. So if you have 4 boys, and between now and 2-3 weeks from now, all the forms come in, yes, you send it all together. But if you have 4 boys and 3 boys have bring in their forms, and 5 weeks gone, and the 4th boy has not brought in his, then you need to register those 3, and when the other boy finally bring in his, then you register him. And on top of that, if a certain amount of time has passed and he has not brought in that form, he needs to stop till he brings in that form. Because after a certain time, and I'm not setting weeks now because I'm going to say that you said this amount of time. After a set period of time, he cannot be a visitor. A visitor is just what it sounds like, somebody who came and visit. 5-6 weeks down the road and he come in every week, he's not a visitor. He's a regular participant. And he is not covered because he's not a member of the group and therefore not a member of the association. So you need to make sure that everybody that is coming and taking part in your program is a member of the association. So make sure that that registration comes in on a timely basis. It's not that I'm waiting for the money, but it is that without that, the person is not covered and we are opening ourselves to liability. So we need you to play your part and make sure that all the members of your group are registered. Any questions before we move on? Okay, I just remember something, so let me. Sorry about that. All right. 4A, BBSA strategy for scouting 2026 to 2032. As you would know from the
Excuse me,
memo
Chief.
that went out.
Excuse me, Chief.
Yes, ma'am.
Sandra has a question. Her hand is raised.
Hey, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Right. Could you go through, I know you just went through the registration for any additional boys, but for clarification, some people are not sure. And I guess if you can explain it from your level in terms of when additional money is to be paid, based on timing, when it's near to the next registration period. If you want to submit the form without registration fees.
Oh,
Could
that
go
part.
through that one?
Okay, yes. If a boy joins in March, not if you are registering him in March. If a boy has joined in March, maybe 15th of February. No, they said 15th of February. He does not pay registration for this year. He will pay registration next year. Not what I said. If a boy joins after the 15th of February, if that boy joined in December and you are now submitting the registration form for him, he has to pay because he was a member from December. The fact that you are only now sending in the form because you only now get the money from him or whatever doesn't count. Is if you join now, then you're exempt from paying the registration fee. Okay? I got that clarifies it. Strategy for scouting. A number of memos went out about this. There was one in November where people were asked to give their feedback on the draft. And then there was one, I believe, either in January or February, informing you that it was adopted and that is the strategy for scouting. A little insight, what is a strategic plan? Before this, we would have done some regular planning. We decide we got a goal and we work out how we can get the goal, that goal. In a strategic plan, you look at the whole organization and you determine where you want the organization to be in a given period of time. And having set that goal for the association, you would then have developed a mission, because the mission would be to get to that goal, and then a vision as well for the association, where you see the association, how you see the association, or how you want people to see the association by the time you reach that goal. And then from there, you plan out the various activities and programs that you would have to introduce to be able to reach your destination. Okay? In the past, we were just looking at activities and things that we want to do and working towards a general goal in the future. This one, you determine where you want to go, and then you determine how you're going to get there. I am not going to read out the whole plan right now because copies were circulated. But in addition to that, sorry, I opened the wrong thing. But in addition to that, the communications team will be developing a campaign identify the parts of the strategic plan in easier to read bits and circulate them to the membership and our partners as well, so you can fully understand it. The takeaways though are our mission, which we define as enhance the education of young persons through scouting, enabling them to become responsible and productive citizens. That's a little different from the aim we had, which was a big, long ramble that most of us don't remember. This would be easier to think and I think a bit more meaningful. There are the corporate goals that we hope to achieve, 7 of them based on our mission. And I'm not going to read out all of them right now. And then it is the vision that we would have determined, the long-term vision of the association is to be the premier institution in Barbados, equipping young men and boys through Scout values, guiding them to make ethical and moral choices in all aspects of their lives. And out of that, we will develop a corporate strategy, i.e. the things that we have to do to achieve that. There was one query that was raised with respect to the corporate goals, and it was corporate strategy, sorry, and it was suggested that it be reworded, and we have done that. If you remember, it talked about, gave the impression that we were dealing specifically with the property, and that now has been reworded to read, building strategic alliances with other youth training organizations and key service providers. So there's no doubt that we're talking about a holistic development of partnerships. How will it be implemented and by whom? For each year of the goal of the plan, there are set goals that must be accomplished. The whole plan, that part of the plan was not circulated. In actual fact, it is, I think, 70-something pages long because it goes into all the different areas. But what we will be doing is tackling it bit by bit, and depending on the specific area, different people are identified as the key persons who will oversee the completion of the specific task. And however, they are not the people who will be doing all the work in those specific areas. They will be overseeing the task. The who or whom is everybody. We must all work together to be able to reach the goals set out in the plan. As we move from area to area, project to project, activity to activity, we will be updating the membership on what we are doing, how far we've gotten, and seeking assistance from capable persons around capable persons from within the membership to be part of the team working on the specific area. And who will it affect? It will affect every member of the association of the Barbados, every member of the Barbados Boy Scout Association, whether you are a uniform member or an associate member or a partner or a helper or whoever else term you want to use, it will affect everyone in the association. It is a strategy notice it doesn't say a strategy to develop headquarters or BBSA. It is a strategy for scouting. It is where we want scouting to be in 2032. I also want to point out that it is a 7-year plan. Even though the term of the chief commissioner is 5 years, and that was set deliberately. The plan is not my plan or who may be chief's plan. It is a strategy for scouting in Barbados, the BBSA's strategy. It does not end when the chief commissioner ends, and that is why it is longer. For it to end in 2030, when my term would come to an end, would defeat the purpose, because it would mean the new chief will be coming in and there will be nothing planned or being executed, and nothing would happen until he is able to put his team in place and come up with their own plans and programs and put everything in place. That means you got a dead period. That's not the intention. The intention is that by the time a new chief is selected, the plan will be coming almost to an end. It will be at the stage where we will then go back into caucus and develop what the next steps for the association will be. And therefore, the new team will be part of developing the next strategy as they finish off the current one, giving them enough time to develop a strategy, work out all the kinks, and put it in place before this current one ends. Okay? Are there any questions on that? And I want to say that the strategy touches all areas of the association, from youth program, to adults in scouting, to administration, to finance, to fundraising, to property and development, all areas that affect scouting in Barbados. Any questions? Okay, B, recruitment of adult volunteers. This has become an issue every year. And as we redefine the system and work out the kinks, every time we work out a kink, it seems like 2 additional ones turn up. And we are having trouble getting this process streamlined. It is a little touchy at best as we are looking to increase our number of volunteers. I have made an appeal for people to volunteer. We've actually had, I think, 2 or 3 people come forward since then. But we are supposed to be launching a major recruitment drive. And therefore, we need to get this sorted out so that it goes a lot smoother than it does now. So let us look at that system. Who is an adult volunteer? An adult volunteer is any adult involved in scouting in Barbados who is not a paid employee. All right? And we only got 3 paid employees. And actually one of them is a volunteer as well, because even though they are paid for a role in scouting, they complete other roles in scouting which are unpaid, which are strictly volunteer. But that is who is an adult volunteer. So whether you are a leader, a helper, a parent who's come along and help out every now and then, because some people want to define that other than helper, somebody who's come and be a badge instructor or do a particular badge with the group, anybody, any adult involved in scouting is an adult volunteer and not being paid. So different types. As I mentioned, we have leaders, we have helpers at the group level. These are people who come and assist the leaders in the program. and we have administrators. These are people who are involved in committees and at group level, whether it's the group council or the executive committee, or at the district level in the same council and executive, or at national in the executive and the headquarters team. Those are the types of volunteers we have. I would like to differentiate at helper level and say that a person who comes once a year for a meeting or two, to help with a specific badge. They are still a helper, but they are of a different level to a parent who comes every week or every other week and helps with the group. Okay? The person that come and do a badge once every year is an occasional helper. Let me call it that. The person who comes every other week, every week, once a month, 3-4 times a term, that person is not occasional. That is a helper. They have regular access to the youth members of the association. The person that coming to help you with a badge only has access to the youth members when the group is doing that badge. So if I help you with camp cook, and you doing camp cook, I come and help you all with camp cook. But I can't come back next week and say helping and just turn up to the meeting and you're all doing home help. I've gone now from the body who does help with camp cook to a person who does help with the group. Two very different things. Okay? All regular volunteers must complete an application form and be certified for that. Okay? Helpers don't get an appointment in the same sense that a leader will, but those level of volunteers will be approved. So that goes for administrative helpers as well, not just youth members. Okay, so there is an application and appointment process in general, but it differs depending on which category you fall into. Regardless of the type, the person must complete a form and send it in, I would believe, through the group scout leader to the district. If I am going to join, let me deal with my group, Harrison College, and I come and tell Mr. Charlemagne, I want to help out with the group. Mr. Charlemagne gives me a form. That form needs to go back to Mr. Charlemagne. Common courtesy. Mr. Charlemagne should be the body sending that in to the district. It should not be a case where I get a form or even go and download the form, I send it into the district to be a helper or a leader at Harrison College, and when the district contacts Mr. Charlemagne says, well, I know what you're talking about. Okay, so it should go through the group. If a person decides they want to volunteer and they're not going the route of a group, and they just go and say want volunteer, and they go online and get the form and submit it, then yes, they will submit it directly to the district, but they are not looking to volunteer with a specific group. A person can decide, I want to help with scouting and volunteer to be in part of our group. When I say our group, the association, whether it be helper, future leader or whatever without being attached to a group. A person like that will be vetted, and then based on what they're interested in doing and what it needs in the district or the association will be, then they will be assigned to a group. So you don't have to come through a group, but if you are coming through a group, the form should come in through the group scout leader. If you are going to be a leader, you need to complete, a minute there, let me get the correct name. And I got it here because I was finishing up a memo that is coming out tonight with this information in it from the Appointments Advisory Committee. A leader must fill out the application for adult membership form, not specifying a year because it changes from time to time. All other prospective adult volunteers will complete the volunteer application form. Both of them are available on the website on the resources page, which is www.barbadoscouts.org/res. I think is the second and third form on that page. Can't miss it. The form must be completed and submitted to the district. The main difference in the two forms that for an adult member, you have to specify the role you are looking to fill and various other things. But all of them require you to have 2 references and a police certificate of character. We must know who is helping, who is supervising the youth members in our organization. And this has become even more important with the new Child Protection Act, which was proclaimed on the 1st of January. I do not have all the details on the act as yet, but I do know that we now are responsible for maintaining certain standards and safety for our members, as in legally responsible now, not that's what the Scouting rule said. And there are certain things that must be reported when they occur. Regulations that only pertain to government agencies, some of them have now been passed on as well. Anybody working with youth. So, well, as they would say, children. So we have to be very careful. This is also necessary for administrators. Administrators, even though they may not work with youth members, they are the people who keep the records and have access to the records of the group, including people's personal information. They are the people who manage the money that has been collected and raised in the name of Scouting. We need to know that these are reputable persons, not just because you know them, not just because there's a parent of a boy or whatever else, somebody from work. We need to do our due diligence to make sure that all is well and that we do not have a problem going down the road. If you cannot provide 2 references, then I am very sorry. We would like your help, but we will have to find someone else. Because we have to start protecting ourselves. We have to be able to say to people, we run a safe organization. And safe just not from abuse of members, but safe in all aspects that we would have learned in Safe from Harm. So we must know who is telling people they are a member of this association. There are instances, and I'm not talking about us now, I'm talking about in general, where people, especially where money is concerned, have moved from organization to organization and leave the bad trail. But like us in the past, you want somebody to help, people come forward, the quote unquote got the credentials that you are looking for, and you accept them as is without checking to see what is their track record. And we cannot be doing that in this day and age. The group scout leader gets the form, or the body who is not attached to the group completes the form, and they email it into the district. There is a specific email that you would use depending on the district that you are in. We are going to this system as opposed to sending it to the DC email or someone in district personal email, because by sending it to the specific email address, it means that through the server, we can track exactly when the email was received. We saw people saying, but I sent in an application form 2 months ago and I hear about anything. And then when you check the district, they say, but I didn't see anything. And it's be this back and forth. We are going with the registered email address. That way it can be checked if necessary. And it will be in the correspondence, but if you're in Bridgetown, it will be apply@barbadoscouts.org. Or if you're in the north, apply.north@barbadoscouts.org. In south, apply.south@barbadoscouts.org. And at headquarters, somebody who's looking to go at headquarters level is apply.bbsa@barbadoscouts.org. The districts have identified specific persons who will be responsible for those emails. Once the form is received by the district has 2 weeks to complete the vetting on the form. If for some reason they cannot get it completed in 2 weeks, because there are times I know where you try to call the references and you can never get hold of them, or the body that is one of the references change their mind and you gotta go back to get another reference and all of that. If it cannot be completed within 2 weeks, then they need to, the person in district will lodge note in the system that they were unable to complete it in 2 weeks because of X, Y, and Z. And that information is also relayed to the group scout leader, so that the group scout leader knows, okay, they can't approve the application yet because X, Y, Z. Once the district has done its due diligence and recommends the person either to be a leader or a volunteer, the form goes into headquarters, and headquarters has 2 weeks to complete their part. Usually headquarters takes less, because only if something in the application raises a flag at our level do we have then to go to do further references, etc. But headquarters reserves the right to complete further vetting if necessary. Once that is completed, for a leader, they will get their temporary appointment, and for a volunteer, they will get a notification informing that they have been approved as a volunteer. Both will have a copy that the person must sign and return, indicating that they have accepted the appointment and that they are willing to follow the rules of the association. We need to do that now, because some people think that rules don't apply to them because they are volunteers and not being paid. So that will be specified now. With a leader's temporary appointment, they are given 6 months to complete the initial training. When I say initial training, I do not mean the initial course to complete the initial training. They will be given a number of courses that they must complete, including safe from harm, and they will be told which training must be completed before they work with boys. In the case where a person was a volunteer before and are now making the step to being a leader, they can continue working with the boys during that period, but they will be working with them as a volunteer and not as an adult leader. They can only work with the boys as an adult leader after they have completed the basic information, the basic training that must be completed before they work with boys. Persons who do not complete their training within 6 months either have to request an extension with a reason, or their appointments are revoked and they are no longer members of the association. Okay? With respect to a volunteer, we require to apply, the volunteer, for their appointment to be approved, they must have completed safe from harm. And we encourage them to complete the online initial course and the GDPR. That's online as well. We encourage them to do the online initial course, which is the one for administrators, so that they know something about scouting. There's a basic course that tells you a little bit what the history of scouting and what's involved, what's the promise and the law and what they mean, that aspect of the training. If they're going to be regular volunteers working with the program, they should have an idea about the program. And that is why we encourage them to do that. Also, I encourage everybody to complete GDPR. And that is because regardless of whether you're a parent, whether you are a leader or volunteer, you will have access to people's personal information. And that is a hot topic on what can or cannot be shared. That's why you need to do that course. We'll be hearing about data breaches all the time. Data breaches is just not about somebody hacking into somebody's computer and database and downloading information. Data hacking, data breaches can also occur from people leaving the registers lying around the place and somebody else come and pick it up and automatically got the name and address of all the members in the group and the parents and where the parents work and the telephone numbers. That's a data breach as well. Data breach is also sharing people information that they don't want shared. Because somebody fill out on a form where a child lives or where the parent lives or who the father is or mother is, that is not information to be shared with anybody. And sharing that with the wrong person is a data breach and it is against the law. And that's why we encourage people to make sure they do the GDPR course, General Data Protection Regulations. It's not something that we came up with, our rules, that is the law. And therefore, I encourage everybody to do it. The person that comes to help out with a badge, you need to know who they are. So even though they might have not gone through the full process of submitting an application form to be vetted by the district and headquarters and whatnot, you should know who they are. And the general information that is filled out on that application form, you should have that for them. So that if there's an issue, you can say, yes, Tom Brown was here and Tom Brown lives here, there's his number, whatever else. Somebody complain that Tom Brown do something, you don't want a case that he cancel, well, you really know who Tom Brown is, he's just come and help me every year. I just contact him through this body. Them days done. you need to know who is there and how you can contact them if there is an issue. And you should make sure to do Safe from Harm. Safe from Harm course is about a 20-minute course. Anybody can do it, and it don't cost nothing. As I said, an email will go out with this, and all this information should be out either tonight or tomorrow morning. I just have to get it proofread. Any questions on that recruitment? Was a volunteer, was a leader, etc.? Are we sure we are understanding that clearly? Leaders pay a fee. Helpers do not, but helpers must be registered. i.e., these are the people who's come and help you on a regular basis. Because we must know who is at your group. And let us make one very big distinction here between a leader and a volunteer. And this is the thing people ask and don't remember. A leader can have unsupervised access to a youth member. A volunteer is not supposed to have unsupervised access to a youth member. i.e., the volunteer, the helper, whatever you want to call them, this help you run the meeting program. The volunteer, helper, etc. cannot, not should not, cannot run the program in the absence of an adult leader. They are not authorized to do so. If you want your helper to run the program when you are not there, then that helper needs to become a leader. Two very different things. A helper can run a session as long as they are in your line of sight. They cannot be in a classroom upstairs with the youth members and you open the pasture running another activity. That is unsupervised access. Supervised access don't mean that we are all on the same premises. It means that we are in line of sight. You can be doing an activity here and they can be doing an activity over there as long as there is line of sight. That's what I want everybody understand that clearly. If something happens, you need to be able to say, I was there. I was monitoring what was going on. Can't do it if you can't monitor if you do somewhere else. Any questions on that? Yes, John.
Yes, good evening all. I've been listening intently, and while I agree and understand with a lot of the policies, I'm wondering if you would have considered what the fallout would be, because a lot of people may not want to necessarily go through the formality of submitting forms and that kind of stuff. Is there anything in place that the persons who may not want, because we depend on volunteers, and the persons who may not want to go through all that, how will we handle the fallout?
It means if you got somebody who does not want to go through that and be a regular volunteer, then you will have to find somebody else. That's the only solution right now. It is saying, it's the difference between saying, all right, you know what, fellow, I can let you go, I can still let you come, and then if somebody get hurt, we can pay out the liability. Because when somebody get hurt, the story does be a different matter altogether. You suddenly hear that this body that one I had got this record, or this happened, or that happened, and the next, before I want to still take them in. Well, when it's a case that we never got a clue. Speaking from experience.
I
All
asked
right?
that because you know you have a lot of parents that come.
Yes, I understand the question. I understand the question clearly because I've
Okay.
had to feel it already.
Okay.
But we have gotten to a point now where we don't have a choice. I had
Okay.
the question raised by a person
Yeah.
who's a teacher. And the question was, I teach the boys from all day during school, why must I fill out a form and be vetted to be a leader? But the reality is, you are in charge of the children when the ministry is responsible for them. The ministry chooses who they want. But when it comes to a school activity, liability from the ministry ends at our own start. And the insurance or the legal people who are going to be pressing for the matter and be saying, but our body's a teacher. The question is, were you trained to do the activity that you are doing? And did we check to make sure that you were qualified to do it? That's the reality.
And that is the information that I wanted to elicit from you so that everybody who has the same question will have the answer to that question.
Yeah. Right? And I hear it all the time. I hear about the body's a parent. Every parent is not a good parent. I didn't tell the teacher that, but I was going to say to them, every teacher is not a good teacher. There are teachers who get charged in courts for all kinds of matters. Right? Saying that you are a teacher does not make you a perfect person or even a lawful person. And the same thing goes for parents. We assume that because it's the parent of a child, especially a female parent, that we ain't gonna check nothing. It's good. All right. And I know a lot of people have raised this already. There are people who do not want to fill out anything. Well, I am sorry. We would like your help, but we will have to part company. That's just the reality of the world that we live in. Any other questions? Are we sure we understand that? If you got a question afterwards, please send it in. Better to get your question answered than be in doubt and do the wrong thing. All right, proposed project and activity 2026-2027. The calendar right now is relatively open, other than the normal things that are on it. We will be having the Family Fun Day again. By rights, it should be happening all like now, end of this month. But with everything else that has happened in the last 4 months, that was not practical. I mean, for the members at the groups would not know, but at headquarters, we were stretched out with a lot of things. And therefore, we just could not get it done. So, shortly, I will be asking the districts for volunteers for the Fun Day, on persons to be on the committee to plan that activity. I can't tell you what the date will be. That is something the new committee will have to determine. I would like it done before the end of the school year, but there is no guarantee that that will happen. We will have to wait and see. There is the police band concert, and I'm hoping to get that date locked down tomorrow. Um, yeah, sorry about that. Police band concert will be coming later this year. It was not our concert, it was not our fault it had to be postponed. We were informed late in the matter that the hall was not available. They are having some issues with the hall and repairs need to be completed, and it was not suitable for a concert. That they did not want embarrassment to come to the association or to the president who would have been attending the concert. They suggested we find an alternate location. And even though the first one that was suggested was unavailable, but then we decided it would have been too last minute to be able to get out the tickets and get it done. In actual fact, when they notified us, the tickets had been printed. I was on my desk to be stamped the next morning and distributed to the districts. But that is life. I have a tentative date. I'm not going to mention it because I need to confirm it first. But it will not be in the next 2 or 3 months. The band is very busy, so it will be this calendar year for sure. Outside of that, that is all that is planned right now. We are open to suggestions. Well, sorry, one other thing. For the last 3 years, we have been talking about an activity, a promotional activity to happen around the end of September, beginning of October, when the groups are recruiting. Even though Scout year starts on April 1st, most of our program years start in September when school restarts. We all recruit in that first 2-3 weeks of term. And therefore, any promotional activity that we are doing should happen around that time. We had the promotional march at the end of October. Coming out of COVID, we did not do the march because we didn't have the numbers to have a proper showing for the promotional march. The question is, what do we do? Do we go back with a promotional march? Do we do something else? One of the issues with the promotional march, it does not truly highlight what we do. It is literally another parade. And while it looks good, it gives good coverage in the press, usually. And to the people who happen to be in town on that day. The question is, does it really portray what scouting is, as opposed to any other organization? And if we want to do that, how do we do that? Other than the parade. There have been suggestions that the parade should move and should not always be in Bridgetown, or that there should be, instead of one big parade, there should be a parade in each district or an activity in each district. The question with that one is, will the district have enough people supporting the activity to make an impact? When we all come together in town, whether it was for the promotional march or the march we had before the fun day at Harrison College that day with the guides, it was a large number of people moving through the area. Will we have the same impact if we are dealing with smaller numbers? Will we have smaller impact? Will we have a similar impact if we are using other areas if they are not as populated at the time as town will be? So the question being thrown out is, what should we do? When and where? And should it be one activity or multiple activities happening at the same time? The floor is yours. Don't everybody speak at the same time? Yes, Sandra.
Right. I prefer one activity because the only time we get to see each other is basically Founders Day, and we be caught up in doing the service and the parade and no time to socialize. So I will move for one activity with all three districts coming together. That is my part. I would prefer one.
Or what type of activity?
That comes to my yet. Let me think a little bit more. I know that the
Right.
part we would stall at.
Anybody else? No other suggestions?
Good evening.
Yes, ma'am.
I feel it could be 3 activities within the 3 districts, but instead of just being one district alone, the other 2 districts can come and join in. But you have 3 different types of activities, but everybody come together as one the same way. So the south and the north are gonna be coming out to their district, they're coming to Bridgetown all the time. Bridgetown be going to theirs.
Noted. Suggestion on the activity or none?
One could be a fun day. One could be let's go it now. You know, you have food on sale, fish and that sort of thing. So, right, a fish fry, a fun day, and a movie night. Because they have one in all 3 districts.
Okay. All right. All right. I got 3 hands up. We can go with Cynthia Roth Seeley first.
Right, good evening.
Good
Okay,
evening.
yes, I'm thinking about, I don't know if you ever had a sports day downtown, but I remember being in the north and enjoying sports day. I look forward to that competition. We will all be there competing, Southern against Bridgetown and Northern. I'm now in the Southern. I look forward to sports day. And all the other things that Sandra Allen said. That's my thought, sports day.
Okay.
Thank you.
Penelope Molyneux.
Good day, everybody. Last Independence Parade, the Sea Cadets, I think, did a great job of portraying their discipline. There was narration and then acting along with it, so that the persons in attendance and persons online viewing the Independence Parade had a clear indication of what the organization was all about. Perhaps a display like that could form part of the same Family Fun Day or another event like the sports there or whatsoever have you, and the media be on hand then to capture, just as the Nation News captured the scouts on Founders Day. Perhaps that could also be part of it, and that could be shared just as the Founders Day clip was shared on Instagram or various social media platforms.
All right, nothing. Rondell?
I think that we should still have the parade. But I think if we're doing things in order to illustrate some of the aspects of scouting, that I think displays are a bit more effective in that regard. The other activities like the fun days, etc., are great, but I don't think that they really show like what we do in scouting either. So my suggestion would be that we still have the parade, but if possible, at the end we could like split into teams and potentially do displays at like various places across the island. So that we say we have like a group of venturers doing like building some large gadget in the car park at Sheraton. Then there's another team at Sky Mall. Then there's possibly another team in Swan Street. I feel like that has the potential, but if we could get the numbers to reach a large number of persons. So yeah.
Yeah, already back in those. I received one from someone this thing and they suggested that we put the fun day in September, and at the fun day we highlight different things at the fun day, have different displays, whether it be tents, pioneering. You don't got it here, but I would include a campfire, have like you can like fires in Queen's Park if we go to Queen's Park. I was suggesting, roasting marshmallows on the fire or something sort of thing, but that can't be in Queen's Park. But doing that at the fun day as well instead of just the fun part. All right? Similar side of thing. Marty, you were saying we got? Hold on a minute. Go ahead. Oh, you telling me open chat, is it?
Okay, in the chat, we have one person asks, can we have a combination of the parade and the family fun day? That's one. Someone suggested a bus ride or a picnic. And the third one, as the chief just mentioned, or similarly, can we have a parade or a fun day showcasing what each section does?
All right. Don't, if you have something else, if you come up with something else later, please submit it to headquarters at barbadoscouts.org or GRDC. Another one there, yeah. Hold on a minute. Go ahead.
Possibility of an open day activity, including a 5K run or walk. And they're asking if the location permits adding a large scale, and there's a large scale project for each section. To make it what? Oh, some of what Ronell suggested.
All right. I think we're going along the same lines here in what we're looking at. A multi-purpose event as opposed to one. The I don't want to say problem. Challenge. We're combining the parade and the fun day. Is the parade is going to be in uniform, and then for the fun day it will mean everybody got to change out of the uniforms into activity wear. And the question is where the activity wear can be. Because you can't march in uniform with activity wear. When we did the one for the fun day in Harrison College, even though it was a it was not so much of a parade because we were in activity wear and people had the backpacks and whatnot. Whereas the parade we did for promotion march is actually in uniform. So that's a little challenge there. I'm making sure that when people change all their uniforms into activity wear, that they keep all parts of their uniform. And at the end of the day, you know, in a mass confusion of who missing parts of the uniform. But it's not a problem, it's a challenge that we will have to look at. But I see the way people are suggesting, and we will look at it. The team will meet next month. I'm talking about the CCC for the start of the year, and we will look at how best we can execute this. Okay. Any other suggestions on what we can do in the coming year? For the scouts, there are a number of ventures. There are a number of jamborees and moots that we have received invitations to. The challenge of them obviously is funding, but is also finding people, not just boys interested in going, but adults, qualified adults to accompany them on the activities. We are going to be sharing the information, I would say by the middle of next month, of all the potential activities to the sections, so that if they're interested, they can put forward a proposal. There is a World Jamboree coming up in 2027. Yes. At the present moment, we will not be attending the Jamboree. I do not know if things will change.
Sir, can I ask which Jamboree is it?
The World in Poland.
Okay.
Poland, the category that we are in for World Jamboree, because you pay Jamboree fees based on your category. All the world associations are divided into 4 categories, A, B, C, D. We are in category B with a threat to graduate us to category A, which is the highest. Categories are determined by GDP alone. And as you know, Barbados has a high GDP. In fact, most of the Caribbean, several Caribbean islands do. So for us, the cap fee for World Jamboree is $1,000 US per person. No, if you're going to air. Oh. That has nothing to do with airfare or other things to get to Poland. And any other thing, insurance, you know the lot that goes when we travel. If we are graduated to category A, our fee will be $1,600 US per person. There has been debate about this, and I don't plan to budge on that. I think they are being ridiculous. On top of that, we must register our contingent by September of this year. That is, we have to register who is going in September of this year for July next year. And we are supposed to make the first installment on those payments by October. If I remember correctly, I think the last payment is due in January or something like that, which presents other issues. And there are no refunds. So if you register and something happened between now and then and you cannot go, that's it, unless you find somebody to replace you. The reason I am not going ahead and registering anybody is that when World Jamboree was in America, that was 8 years ago, I believe it was. No, 3, yeah. We thought it was in America, and we registered 2 patrols. Because it was only in America, we would have 2 patrols to go till we received the fee structure. I realized that it was too costly to send 2 patrols. When we went and said, well, we want to change our registration to 1 patrol, We were told the deadline for changing was July. This is July of the year before the Jamboree. So a year before is when the deadline to change. And therefore, whether we had 2 patrols coming or not, we had to pay fees for 2 patrols, which was not practical. And therefore, we could not, well, we did not send anybody because for 1 to go, you had to pay for 2. And as I told them, if I had money to pay for 2, we would be sending 2 patrols, because if we had the money, we would make sure we had boys to go. And that was a debt we were liable for up to, I think it was 18 months after Jamboree. We were still receiving a statement saying we owed for the 2 patrols till they finally wrote it off. After I categorically told them there was no way we were paying the money. As a result, I will not be registering anybody for any World Jamborees unless we know for sure that they're going and we got the money. Last World Jamboree, we sent a patrol because they had a scholarship patrol where they found funding to pay for 1 patrol from each country to attend. For this Jamboree in Portland, I have heard nothing about any scholarships. Sometimes there's scholarship for 1 person from each country, 2, 3. Korea was a different story where they committed to raising money for a patrol from each country. So that is where we stand with that right now. If they are willing to revise the fees, then we can look at it. With the other Jamborees that are happening around that same time, the fees are, in some cases, half that. So if we had that money to spend, it would be better to go to one, send twice as many people to the other Jamborees, to one of the other Jamborees, or attend more than one of the other Jamborees. So that is what we will be looking at right now.
Nothing on Kabul. Nothing on Kabul.
Right. Oh, on Kabul, as I was just asked, there is nothing on Kabul as yet. I thought that at the conference in Curacao, there would have been a statement on Kabul, but there have been nothing at all. There was supposed to be Jamboree this year as well, Caribbean Jamboree in Belize. 2 years ago, they made a big promotion of it, but outside of that, I have not heard anything at all about the Caribbean Jamboree either. But originally, Kabul was supposed to be last year, then it was supposed to be this year, and then I have not heard it being put off to next year. So I really don't know what is happening as far as Kabul is concerned. I know the biggest holdup with Kabul is finding somebody to host it. For the simple fact that hosting it has a cost attached to it, because the fees that are paid does not cover the cost of the event. And a lot of the associations in the region are not in a position to host a Kabul. I believe that if we wanted to, we may be able to find the financing for it, but I am not convinced we have the personnel on hand to effectively execute a Kabul. Looking at national camp and how we struggle to find personnel for national camp, I can't see us realistically saying we can take on a Kabul. We have the skill to plan it, yes. We have the people with the know-how and whatnot, but it calls for people on the ground to execute the various plans. And I do not see that at this time. Any other proposals for projects and activities? Yes. It has been proposed that we have an activity for leaders. This is just for leaders. This is outside of the social. All right. Suggestion was something a little more than the social. whether it be a outing, a bus trip, a hike, a cruise, and I don't mean a cruise on a ship. I talking about one of the local cruises. Yeah, one of the party buses. I don't know something. I will not repeat that. That it means just that we do something, and I am open to ideas. Ron, I see your hand is up.
Excuse me, Chief, there is a message, there's a suggestion in the chat. Cynthia Roach Seeley is suggesting that we could bring a parade to the east through Emerald City. This would have been one of the activities, upcoming activities.
All right, noted. Yeah, an activity for leaders. So it is on the table. I have no problem with it. But it will be for us to decide what it is we want to do, where we want to go. So I leave it to you to make the suggestions. You can email them to headquarters or you can talk to Marva. Marva's the point person for that. Yes, Penelope Molyneux. Yeah, I just went up. Oh, that was a mistake. I see another suggestion here. We can camp at headquarters. Oh, we did that. Bridgetown did that a number of years ago, didn't we? Yeah. That's an option too. Yes, Rowan.
There's another suggestion in the chat, a games evening.
All right. Noted. All right. Oh, there's one other activity being planned. And this year is Gilbert reunion. We didn't have Gilbert reunion last year. Is last year we had it? No. No, it's the year before. It's 24. It's every other year. So this year is Gilbert reunion. And I believe it's Bridgetown turn, right? Yes. Bridgetown turn. Well, Bridgetown turn in making the suggestion and whatnot. Necessarily that Bridgetown has to plan it. A group we put together plan it, but it's Bridgetown turn to take lead. So put everybody on notice. That is in October of 2026.
You said it's suggesting a retreat, a weekend retreat at a hotel.
Okay. All right, another suggestion. That's in the chat. Yeah, another suggestion there of a retreat at a hotel. Okay. Which moves us to item 5. Wait, hold on, another one. Also, why I suggested a karaoke competition. All right.
Go ahead, Sandra.
Okay. I would also support the idea of a retreat at a hotel.
All right.
Something like that, yeah. Or the bus ride.
Mm. Which one, the party bus or the regular bus?
The party bus.
Okay, all right.
We're gonna do what the people be doing.
No problem.
Okay.
Sandra, how you know what people is we doing?
Yeah, I know because my sisters have one every year, so I don't go in the one with the young people. Maybe the old people were.
All right, so let's get to the Q&A. I received some suggestions early from one district again. And it had mainly to do with persons wearing the uniform correctly. All right. And it questioned the role of the uniform committee in all of this. So I want to clarify the matter clearly. It is for the districts through the ADCs and district scouters to make sure that the various units underneath them are wearing the uniform correctly. The uniform committee sets the policy for uniform in the association. It does not police it. So the uniform committee meets when it is required to look at proposals on changes to the uniform and considers the different changes, consults with who they have to consult, and then makes a recommendation to the executive with respect to the uniform on what should or shouldn't be worn. Okay? But any time you see persons in incorrect uniform, you need to raise it with the ADC, district scouter, or DC. They are who is responsible for making sure that that is done. One.
You said that the changes must be sent.
A question was also raised about what badges can and cannot be bought by leaders with a certificate. Parliament without a certificate. Because a leader can buy any badge with a certificate. A leader cannot buy any badge without a certificate. Proficiency, as we call them, or activity badges, however you want to call them, you must have a certificate to purchase them from the shop. Anybody, whether it's parent, leader, or volunteer. If it's a leader or volunteer coming, they can bring the form where you have the name of the badge and several boys. So if they're coming to get 9 artist badges, they don't got to bring 9 individual certificates. So they'll bring a form set out for artists and the name of the 9 boys that they're buying badges for. And not the other way around. Instead of badge name, writing a boy name there and then listen off 9 badges that he's supposed to get. That don't work. Okay? And the form is not intended for you to write in a boy's name and put 1 badge. I mean, put 1 badge, artist badge, and then put 1 boy name. Use a single certificate for that. All right. All right, hold on. When it comes to badges like membership badge, Barbados badge, district badges, arrows, those type of badges, a leader can just buy those from the shop without a name. Because the leader is supposed to buy that badge and present it to the boys, those badges. If you are putting it for the boy to buy, then you have to give him a form to do it. But if the leader is coming, the leader can buy those without a form. Question?
Yeah. The question is not, should a female wear a beret?
All right, we answered that. All right. With respect to uniform, though, if we are going to police how the boys wear their uniform, then the leaders must be in correct uniform. And a lot of leaders wear their uniform incorrectly. Starting with the females in berets, the ones with hats that wear the hats incorrectly, or with the hair in such a style that neither the hat nor beret can fit on their head, to the badges in the wrong places, badges that shouldn't be on their uniform, the wrong shoes, some wearing socks. There are a lot of inconsistencies in the adult uniforms. And if we're going to start seriously policing uniform, it has to be policing uniform and not just policing the uniform of the boys. We cannot be telling the boys to wear their uniforms correctly when we are wearing ours incorrectly. But that will be a subject of a memo in early April. Any other questions during question time? Yeah.
Chief?
Yes, sir. Yeah, you're mute.
Chief, good afternoon to everybody.
Good afternoon.
It's just an observation that I saw on Sunday at Founders Day. That some of our adults' uniforms are very well, I don't want to use the wrong word though. But basically, they won't clean up. Let me leave that there.
Okay.
Very untidy.
Okay. Noted. I didn't see what you're talking about, but I have no doubt whatsoever about it. All right.
Chief.
No, I'm serious. I say it all the time. Anything else for question and answer? Any questions you may have? No, the time to ask me questions, y'all want to ask, you know.
Chief,
Yes, sir.
is there a total de-emphasis now on drill? Do we do any drill?
No, there is no total de-emphasis on drill.
I was a little bit embarrassed last Sunday too, where I see about 7 different salutes and things of that nature. And we have a president now who is a military man, who I'm sure is going to appreciate the crispness of drill.
Mm-hmm.
And it fairly sloppy. I was taught, for example, to salute that. To salute is the longest way up, shortest way down.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw some salutes with people at the handbrake and thing. Not picking on Rondell Trim, but Rondell Trim got the highest award in the scope movement, and his salute wasn't right. And the other guy who got Christopher Cumberbatch was his name? Brathwaite, who got the second highest award, his salute was worse. And then often when they are marching, they are throwing their arms all over the place. So you see 6 boys go up to receive awards, and there are 6 different salutes and 6 different styles of marching.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel picked on. I'm not sure what was wrong with my salute. But if whenever you see me and you decide that you want to give me instruction on how to better it, that's fine. But I agree with the fact that there are several leaders that I was seeing along the parade that need assistance with drill as well. I feel like when I was marching, I had leaders walking in front of me. So that I had to tell a person that excuse me, and that is not something that I am very accustomed to. So it's very difficult, I guess, for scouts, Cub Scouts, etc. And that would include me and include Christopher as well, to be able to drill properly if leaders are unable to drill. So that's definitely something that has to be addressed. I think that if we see that there's a discrepancy in how we march and how we drill, and we don't, number one, teach the scouts, and if we're commissioners, we don't talk to the persons under our remit, then the problem will continue. So that's definitely something that we have to address. And this is both on a personal level, when we're talking to the colleagues and peers, such as the leaders next to us, and then in a leadership capacity, like where we send out memos, etc. So there is, and persons often tell me that these scouts is a paramilitary group, etc. But I always believe that drill and marching is always a phenomenal way to get persons to join the organization. Because when you see persons looking sharp, etc., young men are encouraged to join. To join, and this is from cadets, the Barbados Defense Force, etc., etc.
Right, and I'm not necessarily picking on you, Rhonda, so don't take it personally. I'm just trying to reinforce the point that I was making.
But he
And,
said he said he didn't take it personal.
yeah, fair enough. So that's an area I think that could be need to be, particularly when you're coming up to things like where you know guys are going to get awards and what's not. You probably need to, brush them up so that they present well.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I agree, Michael. Something we have to look at.
Yeah, that's my 2 cents worth.
Yeah. Somebody mentioned the skirts that are too tight and too short and makeup. And by the way, there's a female that mentioned that, not me.
Sonia is suggesting, you hear me? Sonia is suggesting that you emphasize that for the individual lesson, the leaders are not the same.
Oh.
And you said her behavior.
There's another comment that came in. Yeah. Hold on a minute. Okay, all right. Another, going back to the badges at the shop, I was asked to remind leaders that they are not supposed to sign as examiners for their boys for any of the proficiency badges. There's supposed to be a third party doing the examination. Whether you get another leader or ADC or district code or somebody else come in and off on the badge. And the next question that come in is about uniform, and I'm glad they raised that because that's something I should have mentioned. And excuse me a minute, I'm thirsty. Throat dry from all the talking. We have been having challenges getting uniform. And not only the shirts and pants. As you know, we are out of quite a few things. I expect that by week after next, the Cub caps and Beaver caps should be in because we just got in some. I just have to get them embroidered this week. But even those, when we try to get caps in December, the person that we are getting them from now was out of stock. We had to wait, I think it was beginning of January to get them, if I remember correctly. Our usual supplier for those can no longer access them because they come through the states and with the tariffs, they are no longer affordable. We ordered belts, lanyards, and scout woggles and berets that were supposed to be here in time for Independence Day. The belts arrived, sorry, the berets arrived last week. And I still have not heard about the belts and the lanyards and the waggles. That's just the realities. We have determined now that we will be using in the interim, we will be using 2 suppliers for shirts and pants. We do not want our supplier, although we are pleased with the uniforms, have become unreliable. They're not a way to put it. All right? We have a very good deal with them, but the reality is it is unreliable. We have worked with them because I can put in an order and they can start the order before you get the deposit there. With most of our other suppliers, like the suppliers for activity shirts, etc., that's one of the problems with it. I can place an order, but that order ain't starting till you get there with the check to pay the deposit. And don't think you collecting them if the check for the balance ain't signed. It's a bad habit we got into because we had a supplier that I just had to call and tell them I need activity shirts, send them what sizes I want, and when I go to collect them, I pay for them. But the reality is that supplier is no longer supplying, and we have to look for others. It means as well, to be able to place the order that we want, you have to have the cash on hand. Not that we don't have cash, but sometimes it's not always there at the time. Gotta make sure to do deposit and wait for the deposit to clear, and there's a lot of things now that isn't there. But what we have decided is we will have uniforms from 2 suppliers. The new supplier that we are talking to now, we have provided one of the current uniforms because I've told them they have to match. It can't be that one set of boys in one shade gray and the next set of boys, because they buy from the other set, in a different shade. All the shades must match. What we will do about the difference in pricing, because I don't expect the 2 prices to be the same, we will work out. Whether we will have uniform support, match the prices, I don't know what we're going to do yet, but we will do. And if the second supplier works out to be reliable and after a certain period have passed, because if the first shipment come in good, don't mean we just going with them. We will run it for a while, and then we can phase out one, or we can phase out the old one, or keep both, depending on how they work. We are hoping that with the 2 suppliers, it means we will always have uniform. But I know I made a comment. The persons that were there in March Pass could tell you, I made a comment that there were too many boys in that parade in their school uniforms. And they were in the school uniforms because we didn't have uniforms to sell them. All right. So I know it is a problem, and we are trying to work it out as best we can. Socks is another issue. We do have socks, but the reality is we have to find another source for socks. We sell socks at the shop as a convenience so that our members don't go and leave the shop and then go to Sheraton or in town or somewhere else and look for socks. But we sell the socks almost at the same price we buy them at, because we are buying them from one of the stores at a very small discount. But even finding a supplier for the socks has proven difficult. All right, so we are working on the uniform. It's not that we ain't got money to order uniform or anything like that, but finding reliable sources for the uniform is difficult. And we are trying to find quality uniform items so that it's not a case like we had an offer to buy socks from someone wholesale, but we knew the socks can last. We knew that within 2-3 meetings, you had to buy a new pair, because they were like stockings, literally. So we are not just trying to find uniform, but finding uniform that will last. Any other questions?
Excuse me.
Yes, please.
I put in the chat, the blue hats are really short-lived. If the quality is what we're selling now is what was available last year. Within a term or two, they are white. And I do not know why the green one. And I still have hats from my great nephew, green hat, still standing up strong.
But because the green hats were made from polyester, and that is why they stood up that long. We can't get those kind of hats. Well, we can, but I will have to bring them from one of the associations that still use those green hats. There are some associations in the Caribbean that use green caps, but they use the same caps we're using, except the green. So they're gonna wash out just as fast. But the caps you're talking about, because we had two very small ones in the shop. I ain't sure if they're still there, that was there. That when I came to the shop, how many years ago, they were old and they still got the color, but they were a polyester material. And the thing with those hats are they came in sizes. It wasn't a one size fit all. So you have to order by size and then the quantity. And the people that use those are all in Asia right now. Philippines, those kind of people is who use them. They are available, but it would be the cost to get them here from there. And that's the problem with those hats.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Item 6, any other business? I want to raise one item, and that is the property. For those of you who have not been to headquarters lately, I would like to invite you to pass by and check it out. And I would like to publicly commend the Property Development Committee for the work that they have been doing. The old HUDs were taken down to be replaced. The outer part of the building was repaired because it was just not painted. It was scraped, patched, and the building has been repainted. The window HUDs at the front by the office have been replaced, but we're looking to replace more. All the windows that were old and damaged have been replaced. We had increased the lighting around the building, but then someone came and relieved us of those lights. We replaced them and they were relieved again. We have put them out now a third time and we are hoping, we have our fingers crossed. We are using more sturdy poles that cannot be damaged as easily. And we have made sure to mark big and bold Barbados Boy Scouts on all the lights in big white paint. So hopefully that will be a slight deterrent and we will keep them a little longer. The guard wall has been repaired and painted. One of the signs at the gate has been replaced, the other one replaced shortly. And we now have a signboard on one of the walls, on the guard walls, identifying all the companies that have supported Scouting in the last year. Not all, nearly all, because in the last couple of weeks, we've had a couple more that will have to be added to the board. We've worked out an agreement where persons who made a certain contribution, the company's logo will be placed on the board for 2 years. But if they keep making the contribution, obviously the name will stay up, but If it's a one-time something, the name will be on one of the boards. The paint for the entire building was donated by Barbados Steel Works, a line of paint that they will be carrying. And the agreement was that they will use pictures of the building in their advertising, which is one of the reasons the walls had to be repaired and not just painted on, because they needed to make sure the paint will stay on the building and not just flake off. And we agreed that on the other wall, they would place a signboard advertising the paint and their company, I believe, for 2 years as well, either 2 or 3 years, I can't remember. Because that was a significant amount of paint that they donated. We've also made a number of repairs within the building. And upstairs, for those of you who would have known, the old office, which was one big room, is now being divided. So we have the outer office, and we actually have a meeting room, whether you want to call it a boardroom, conference room, whatever you want to call it, that is separate now, that meetings can be held in there without interrupting the office interrupting them. And that room is AC'd as well. And we have done repairs to the bathrooms as well, not the full amount. I'm saying all this to let you know what's been happening at headquarters. As a result of this, there is more demand for the use of the building. I want to say that because it's not like before where you could call me and say, oh, you want to use the building side, and I can tell you no problem because I know nobody up there. We had the World Food Program who had a simulation exercise here in Barbados at the beginning of February, and they had the building and the grounds for a whole week for the participants. They had tents on both fields. I mean, they utilized the whole property. They rented the property, they didn't get it, they didn't come and use it. And we have had other people coming to use the property on a fairly regular basis. We have a program that just started, I think it's Skills for Life is the correct name, that is being run by Rondell, at least his charity. And they have rented the building for 6 months to run that there. They don't have exclusive use of the building. They just have the auditorium for the 3 days a week that they're running. And there are other people who have asked. We have a group that's supposed to be coming in from overseas to use it for a week. So I am saying this to let you know that the building is, yes, the building is still available, but it is in demand. So if you need to use the building, you need to say in advance. And while at this point in time, there is no fee for Scope people to use it, you are expected to make a contribution to contribute to the lights and water. All right? With all the, with all the activity that went on in February and beginning of March, our light bill was almost double what it was before. And that's not because of fuel charge, but not that either surprised because the building was used a lot. The rental helps pay for the increased utilities. So we have agreed right now there's no fee for scouts to use the building, but you expect to make a fee. And that is not guaranteed that that will continue indefinitely. What we have agreed that any rate we use to rent the building, the scouts would receive it at half price for a scout activity. So if you, scout leader, want to rent the auditorium for you, Chris, for your birthday party, is not the scout rate. If your scout group is having an activity and you want to use headquarters, then yes, you can get the scout rate. Okay? Let me just clarify. And yes, we've had it used for things like birthday parties as well. It's not just camps and things like that. And as we go on, we will be improving the building and what is available. We have some chairs now that are available to use if you're having a meeting, etc. We're supposed to be getting some other ones as well. We have acquired some cots so that if you're camping and you want to rent the cots, not why I said rent, they ain't free, that they are available for you to rent. Because we were looking at getting some beds, but then, because one of the groups that comes from overseas, they need us to provide everything. But then when we study, if we get the beds, where we can store them and all of that, it was easier to get the camp cots. So they're there, but they are for rent to use. And there will be things like tables and chairs, etc., that will be for rent as well. All right. I say this to say, plan well when you want to use the premises, and also the premises are available for you for things other than camp. Okay, we'll be looking to improve the bathrooms outside shortly so that you can use the grounds without having to come in the building for both male and females. Okay? All right, no, the question was not raised about safe from harm. I understand that is a difficulty for some people who may not be computer savvy, but what you need to do is seek assistance from a leader in your group, somebody from the district, or arrange to come to headquarters and use one of the computers at headquarters, and arrange that when you come, somebody there will assist you as well. I want to add that at this time we have 2 computers set up that if people need to come to complete any of the online training, that they are there available once the office is open for persons to use free of charge. There are supposed to be 4, but we have not completed the setup of the other 2 because in reality, where we have them set up, they have to be moved every time somebody is renting the building and you don't want to leave them out. So we have 2 now that can easily be moved and still be connected, but we will be working on having more. But there are 2 right now that persons can come to headquarters to use. You just have to make arrangements to come. Just don't turn up and hope somebody can be there or that 2 people in already there using them. That can be arranged through the office, call the office, email the office, and arrange that. Office number is 429-4051, or send an email to headquarters@barbadoscouts.org. Okay? And that goes for all the training that has to be done online. Or if you need to do something for work and you ain't got a computer to use, you can come and use it for that as well once it is available. You want to do an online course to better yourself? Yeah, you can come and use it for that too. As long as the office open during the hours you want to do the course. Any other questions? Yeah, Rowan.
To backtrack a bit, there's a suggestion in the chat of Father's Day social and award as
I
a
saw that.
recruitment strategy. Okay.
I saw that. I made a note of it. Any other questions? Anything else on the any other business? All right, in that case, I want to thank everybody for attending the meeting, for your participation, not just in attendance, but your suggestions, comments, and discussion on the various points. As I said, if you think of anything else afterwards, please reach out to us through district or send an email to headquarters with your suggestions and ideas so that we can look at them and include them. Thanks. For those of you who are not at home, get home safely, like the 3 of us here, and see you all at the next activity. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Have a good evening, everyone.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
All right, good evening.
Adios. Hasta luego.
Good evening, everyone.